I'm ready. Good evening. It is Monday, March 13th at 6:15 p.m. This is the Recreations and Park Committee. I am Jeffrey Wood, the chair. I'm joined tonight by Mr. Orwell and Mr. Schilling. We have two issues on the docket tonight. One regarding the consent to field naming at Troy Memorial Stadium. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Titterington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me get out of order here. So when we transferred the deed, or the property known as the Memorial Stadium, all the parties agreed to a deed restriction that requires park board approval and also council's authorization for the park board to approve per Mr. Kerber. Any deviation from that deed restriction related to signage. There is no restriction on scoreboard signage. That's something that they've had as part of their sponsorship, but any other signage requires board and council approval. There's also an absolute prohibition against ever changing the name Troy Memorial Stadium to anything else. That being the stadium itself with the name on the outside of the stadium. The schools recently came to us asking for consent to change to add naming to a new field that is a primary focus of a private nonprofit's fundraising campaign, which includes upgrading the stadium field from grass to artificial turf. As part of a large contribution, as a condition of a large contribution from Premier Health towards that project, the schools would like to name the field. Let me make sure that I get this right. The Premier Health Field at Troy Memorial Stadium, with the only signage being, actually, I believe you've got a picture in your packet, in the upper left and lower right sidelines of the field itself. It would just have the Premier Health logo and name on it, and that's it. It would be at field level. It would be horizontal, actually on the field. Would not be seen from the street. The park board is recommending that you give the park board president authorization to sign that decree. The authorization to rename the field would run with the life of the turf and would expire when the turf is replaced in whatever form it gets replaced, or 15 years, whichever one is soonest.
And just to be clear, I think based on the images I saw and what you said, the signage is on, well, for at least for football, would be on the sidelines, not on the field itself?
On the sideline?
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
I thought that's what it said. Yes.
Yeah.
On the white border of the sideline.
Down the ground.
Correct.
And this only deals with the stadium.
Only
Correct.
the stadium, correct.
Sean, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Roselle?
I have none. I think they were covered before.
What would you recommend?
Mr. Wood.
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
just
Mr.
curious, can the name change not occur prior to the turf being installed? Does it also start concurrently with the turf being installed?
Well, the only signage that will be on the field itself will be on the field itself. So effectively, even if they name that, there's nowhere it's going to be placed until the field's installed.
Because I was just curious, they wouldn't put it on the sidelines, just paint it on the sidelines prior to the turf?
No, it's exactly what you see in that picture is how it's going to be.
Okay, just was curious.
And there's no guarantee that they're going to reach their fundraising goal.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Depending on what deadline you're using.
Do any other councilmen or women have any questions? Anyone in the audience?
Move ahead.
Move forward.
It is great to move forward. Next up on the dock tonight is activating the door for the summer concert series. Mr. Titterington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are asking that the DORA be activated for 2 of the 3 non-ticketed events at Treasure Island this summer. This request was made by the Recreation Director as a consideration, given the logistics. The Rec Director and the Park Superintendent. We took it to the Park Board. The Park Board is recommending it as well, or they approved it, authorized it. What we have to do normally is we have to create a closed-in, fenced-in, temporary liquor establishment. A lot of logistics involved, especially with the day of the week that these are, because they're going into the weekend, and take some time from primarily the Park Board staff. What they asked instead was if we would consider just for the June 24th and the August 5th events that the DORA be activated. You should have a map. You should have received a map with your packet that shows exactly where that would be. We shaded it in green. Hopefully that came through that way. These would only be activated for those days, 11 to 11, and it would not be the entire blue area. It would only be a small subset of that area, basically extending along Main Street to Elm Street and up into Treasure Island, and then up Adams Street, and then on the rec trail behind. We are not asking for emergency legislation.
And all drinks consumed in the DORA would have to still be in the DORA?
They would have to be in the DORA and subject to the same rules that the DORA has, yes.
So, I'm sorry, you done?
No.
Okay, so if we're opening the door, then somebody would be able to essentially walk from the downtown square all the way out to Treasure Island with a drink?
They could.
Okay.
Just clarification, when we do the temporary areas, we don't have to activate the whole temporary area?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct. It can be all of the blue, but it can be any subset of the blue. And I will add that we will talk to the hospital and make sure whatever signage they'd like to see and where they'd like to see it. We will have more trash cans, the boxes, and we will have additional signage so that people know where they can and can't go.
Super.
Do any other council members have any questions?
I have some
Mr. C.
questions. Mr. Tittington, what is the timeline, what is the latest date for us to activate the DORA if we're going to activate it for the 4th of July? When does that have to come up?
I guess I could be pithy and say last month, but I won't. I don't. If the Recreation Department was to ask for a temporary liquor permit, which they are not going to do for July 4th, it would have to be at least 30 days before July 4th.
If another agency is going to ask for a liquor permit for the 4th of July concert, what would be the latest date that would have to come before council?
It would have to be at least 30, well, it would have to be earlier than that now that I say that, because they would have to go to the Park Board and get permission, which they've not done in the past. The only one they've ever given permission to do, I guess with the exception of the GOTR event, has been to the Recreation Department. I do want to say also, kind of glossed over half of this request for authorization. We are asking for the use agreement like we do every year at Treasure Island. The DORA kind of jumped to the punchline. The DORA is a new feature of that use agreement. Everything else is the same standard use agreement that we've had every year that we've had concerts. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Shilling?
No, get to the audience.
I'm sorry, Mr. Pierce.
City Councilman Samuel Pierce. The question I have is, when you come over 25A and you're coming over that hill right next to Treasure Island Park, sometimes it's hard to see pedestrians or people on their bikes. And if we're going to have people with DORA cups, they may not be paying as much attention to traffic. Are we looking at some way of slowing down traffic during these special events or bringing more attention?
So with these events, we will only have the DORA activated on the, east side of Elm Street. So you will not be able to cross Elm Street with a DORA drain. So everything will be on that side. We typically have police officers at these events. They're always walking around. They will, I've talked to the police chief who is in favor of this. He said that they would notify patrol so that they would do more in that area as well. And then again, we'll strategically place the temporary signs and the trash cans so that people see those as well.
Okay, thanks.
Do any other council members have any questions? Any audience members? Where's your vote?
I think we move forward on this.
And this is not emergency, we got time?
It's not.
Okay. Move forward.
It is an agreement to move forward. Is there any other issues to come before the committee tonight?
No, sir.
We stand adjourned.